Today I'm doing a water pump on a 2005 Grand Marquis, and here we're just taking off the serpentine belt. The process of changing this water pump should be the same if you have any of the Panther platform cars with the 4.6, except for the Marauder. But most of your Crown Vics and your Grand Marquis and your town cars are going to be very similar to this. And to get that serpentine belt off, you can see where my ratchet is. You're going to use the 3/8 drive on the ratchet to turn that tensioner pulley clockwise. Now that you've got your serpentine belt off, you're going to take a 10 millimeter and an electric ratchet, and you will take off the bolts for the water pump pulley. And you'll have to hold that pulley steady while you crack those bolts loose. After you've gotten that pulley off, it's time to take the 4 13 millimeter bolts for the water pump out. And there I left one in because you kind of got to bang this thing out. They tend to get stuck sometimes, so we're going to hammer on it a little bit to try and get it out. So I left that bolt in for later. And here I am taking the last bolt out of that water pump. And I sped this up a good bit because I imagined it was boring. Watching me hammer on this water pump for about 3 minutes. It's probably how long it took me. Yeah, I had my pry bar, and I ended up just tapping it a little bit with the hammer too, and that helped. Make sure you've got something to catch that coolant with whenever you take off your water pump. And here I am taking the last bolt out of that water pump, the one we used to make sure it didn't fly off and hit the ground whenever we were banging on it. And after that, it should just come right out. Here's our new water pump gasket, and you can see it rides right in that groove right there. You may want to lubricate that gasket with some clean coolant. After you've got that gasket on there, it should be time to bolt right back up to the front cover. After you got all your bolts started by hand, you can just zap those in with the electric ratchet. And I'm kind of doing the bolts in a diagonal pattern, kind of like you would lug nuts on a 4-lug tire. After I was done with the electric ratchet, I went in and just tapped them all one more time to make sure they were all nice and snug. After you got your water pump back on, you can put your water pump pulley back on, and it's just those 4 10 millimeter bolts. And here's me putting my serpentine belt back on. If you're having trouble with the routing, there should be a diagram right on the radiator cowl. And now we've just got her fired up. We're looking for leaks and making sure we've got enough coolant. But after that, we're pretty much done. This thing seems to be running like a top, and it shouldn't be leaking coolant anymore. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.